What's up, everybody? I hope all is well. Mike here. I just wanted to share a few words to give you strength for the journey from Ecclesiastes chapter 9, verse 11. And if I could add a title to this, I guess I would call it Stop Competing with Others because the race is really you against you. All right. So in Ecclesiastes chapter 9, verse 11, history says that King Solomon, David's son, wrote Ecclesiastes. So here's a man who had everything at one point, right? He was considered to be the richest man in the world, the wealthiest man in the world in his day and time. And when you have that kind of wealth, you're able to try things that other people are not able to do. And so, in essence, he had tried everything under the sun, right? Trying to find pleasure in different things and power and all the rest of that. And his conclusion was, in Ecclesiastes, his conclusion was, the race is not given to the swift, nor to the strong, but to the one who endures to the end. What does that really mean? I'll tell you what it means, and then I want to give some real life practicality to it, because you might be in a place right now where, your race has been hindered for some reason or another, or stumbling blocks have been put in your way one way or another. Maybe your own decisions have put stumbling blocks in your way, because we do that to ourselves sometimes, unfortunately. Or stumbling blocks may have been put in your way by others, or stumbling blocks may have even been put in your way by God in order to redirect your steps or reorder your steps. So let me dig into this verse for a second, and I hope it blesses and encourages you. All right. If it does, like, share, comment, interact, and be encouraged. The race is not given to the swift nor to the strong. What is he really talking about? What he's saying in essence is that when you're in a competition with somebody else, usually we're looking at others. Let's say you're in a track race, right? You're running a 100-meter dash and you come up to the line. If you know anything about how track goes, most runners are looking at the other runners and looking at how they're built, and they've studied them and their technique and all the rest of that. But the reality is, although they're in the race with others, the reality is the race is them against them. Meaning, can you dig deep to pull out everything that God has given you and leave your best on the track, or leave your best at work, or leave your best on the table, whatever your scenario might be? Are you digging deep enough to give it your best? Because when you've given it your best, you don't have to worry about who else is in the race. The chips are going to fall where they may, as long as you give it your best, because the race is not given to the strong, right? Let's look at it another way. People who have extremely high IQs, or people who are born extremely wealthy, born with different advantages, people who are able to navigate their way through life probably a lot better than other people for whatever reason. There's nothing guaranteed that those people are going to end up successful. I mean, the cards may be a little bit higher for them, but when it comes to God's will versus human will, it's an equal playing ground. That's what I want you to know. It's an equal playing ground. And when we make the mistake of comparing ourselves to other people, that's when we lose ourselves. And hear what I'm saying. There's a preacher friend of mine in New Jersey, Reverend Mark McCrary, good friend of mine. He always says, when you measure yourself by yourself, that's when you find yourself. Not when you measure yourself against other people. And what social media does is that it just feeds and feeds and feeds this mindset of comparison. And people end up depressed looking at other people's pictures from vacation and things of that nature, them and their family, when you haven't been able to do any of that stuff, right? So you don't want to focus there. Because that's the thing that will take you off track quickly. Compare yourself with yourself. What does that mean? Get closer to God. And the closer you get to God, the more you get to know yourself. And the more you realize that with God, the playing field is equal. When it comes to this world, the playing field is unequal. You see the rich and powerful doing things that people in the other classes can't do, right? And then you see people in the other classes doing things that the rich don't know how to do or are not able to do for whatever reason. So it's a whole ebb and flow of comparison when we look at things through natural eyes. But when you look at them through spiritual eyes, and then you take that, you apply that scripture that Solomon gave us, the race is not given to the swift nor the strong. It boils down like this. It doesn't matter how strong you are. It doesn't matter how beautiful you are. It doesn't matter what your body looks like and all the rest. Just give it time and all that will level itself out. Trust me on that one, right? So none of that stuff really matters when it comes to God. God can give you the ability to accomplish things that you never dreamed that you can imagine. You know, and to help us understand that the race, what's the race? The journey of life, the marathon of life. It's not a sprint. It's not a sprint. Those that take off fast and try to run through this thing very fast usually end up burning out when you find them on the side of the road or dead and gone somewhere. The race is not given to the swift, nor to the strong, nor to the beautiful, to the powerful, to all those other things, but to the one who endures to the end. So when you think about all the things that you've been through in your life, think about what you might be going through right now. You got to look at what you've overcome. What Solomon's conclusion is that, yeah, I've had all the power I need. I've had all the wealth I need. I've had people at my beck and command, and life still didn't end up the way I thought it was going to end up. But when you add God to the equation, things can change dramatically because God can give you strength. And some of you know you've tapped into that strength that God is able to give you strength to overcome trials and things that you didn't think you were going to make it out of. Right? And what does that do? That develops a level of persistence in you to keep you going. Right? Persistence and endurance, those two things. That's how you win the race. Not taking off fast and trying to accomplish everything all at once. No, it's a marathon, not a sprint. And stop looking at everybody else's race. Stop looking at everybody else's race and get closer to God and figure out what your race is. You know, if you overcome some obstacles in your life, and every obstacle you overcome, you develop another layer of persistence. Right? Another layer of perseverance. That's a great word. I love that word. Perseverance is a combination of a few words. Perseverance, right? The word sever is in there. Sever, right? To sever something is to cut sharply. It's a surgical term. To cut sharply, to sever something. Then the word severe is in there, you know. And we all encounter severe difficulties going through life. Every now and then we lose a loved one, somebody loses a job, all kinds of stuff. Car accidents. I mean, we deal with life's severity. We plan for life, and then life happens to us all. And when it happens, if you don't have God on the inside to give you the strength to persevere and to push through, problems can happen. Bad things can happen from that. But perseverance, the ability to keep pushing through and to keep going no matter how severe life gets and no matter what things or people have to be severed from our lives in order for us to keep going, because the goal is to get all the way to the end of this thing, to get all the way to the end of this journey. And the only way to do that is to know that it's a marathon, not a sprint. Stop comparing yourself to everybody else on social media. Stop comparing yourself to everybody on Facebook, on YouTube, whatever platform you're on, because the world is so fake right now. You could be competing with something that ain't even real. You could be competing with somebody that ain't even real. You could be competing with an image of a human being that somebody created with AI. And you're trying to keep up with that when God made you and me the real thing. The real thing. My brother, my sister, listen, this race is you against you. Question is, will you dig deep enough and get close enough to God to find out and figure out who you really are, because when you do, I'm here to tell you, when you do, everything changes. Your perception, the way you see the world changes. The way you see yourself changes. The way you see other people changes. And you'll no longer feel less than in other people's sight. You'll realize that you're as much an equal as everybody else is. You will realize that you are made in the imago Dei, the image of God, just like everybody else is, regardless of what people say. You know, the bigotry, the hate, all the isms in the world. That stuff won't impact you the way it will when you don't have that and you're still trying to figure out who you are. Because all you can do at that point is keep up with the Joneses, not knowing that the Joneses are trying to keep up with somebody else. This race is against you, it's you against you. Run your race, stay in your lane, and do it to the best of your ability. And I'm here to tell you, your life will open up in ways that you never dreamed they could. Again, I'll leave you with that quote from my friend, Reverend Mark McCrary, pastor in New Jersey. Mark says, when you measure yourself by yourself, that's when you find yourself. Be encouraged, my friend. I pray that this word here gives you strength for the journey. And if it does, like, share, comment, click on notifications if you're new so that you can get notified every time I launch a new video, and share it with somebody else so that it can bless them and encourage them as well. All right. I pray that it gives you strength for your journey today. Blessings.